when you look into the actual intelligence, declassified documents around Yamal, and you look at the actual words and admissions at the time, they saw this as a threat to NATO. So even then, the U.S. admits after the fact, gas coming from Russia to Europe was a threat to NATO's, quote, mission. That makes us ask this question, Freddie, what is NATO's mission? I thought it was a defensive alliance. Why would NATO be worried about cheap, affordable gas coming into Europe? And what happened after this? Europe basically went into an economic stagnation into part of the 1980s. The economy might have been totally different had that relationship with the East developed, but the United States was there to shut that door pretty hard. Go ahead, Freddie.
Absolutely. I mean, the geopolitics, even if they're separated with 100 years, it doesn't matter. They still apply to some degrees. If you want to undermine an economy, if you want to undermine a peer adversary, and especially weaken his economy, you're going to try to do different things, amongst which pinning them in a war of attrition, pin them down into a war that's going to cost them a lot of money, and then attacks the key infrastructures on the economic development of these countries. And it's really about that. It's about keeping Russia as weak as possible and not allowing this rapprochement between the Soviet Union at the time and Germany, and Russia today with Germany. You would think that the fall of the Berlin Wall would have changed something, and NATO would have basically been out of purpose, if you will, and then sent back to where they come from. But they prepared this ground, and we can clearly see how the events from 1980, 81, 82, 83, and so on, all the way to 1989, shaped the world. It really shaped the world that we are living in today. The geopolitics of today, as well as, of course, our understanding of what NATO was to become. Often people say, but what NATO stayed after the fall of the Berlin Wall? They stayed because the target was always to maintain this hurdle between the Russians and Germany, and more importantly, to always keep a door open to control Eurasia, if you will. The end game is to weaken a huge nation that has always had a connections with Europe. This has been a long game, and I think the Ronald Reagan era is very telling. We can clearly see how this rogue organization, these secret committees are coming together to form basically alongside with the UK. This has never been done alone. You know, if you look at the Nord Stream sabotage, you're going to ultimately have to look at this relationship and understand the NATO construct and who runs maritime's operation. So when you understand this construct, you understand that the Supreme Allied Commander Europe is an American general, then you understand that this is not going to happen. Nothing's going to happen in the NATO lake, because that's how they call it. The Baltic Sea is a NATO lake. Nothing is going to happen in this particular part of the world without the Brits and the American knowing what's going on.